possibilities.
That's so cool.
But there's even more to discover here in the Winter Wonderland. So why we don't move on to the big mesh mystery?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, let's check it out.
So if you want, you can just try to use the cannon. I just take it, put it in the cannon, and then you can aim and press the button.
Oh, nice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, hit.
Woohoo!
And that's how it should also maybe be in real life.
Yeah, that would make decorating so easy. All right, this is definitely more complicated than just the physics sticky body. Tell me about how you built this cannon.
This cannon is actually built with visual scripting. So there's a physics example package included with the toolkit. And there's actually a cannon mini game. And we took the idea of the mini game, took the starting point of it, and then we enhanced the visual script for shooting our custom Christmas balls here.
I'm so glad the physics samples helped inspire you and you were able to even reuse some of that code directly here. Did the team have experience with visual scripting beforehand?
Not the whole team, actually. So me, for example, I have a Unity developer background, but I was completely new to visual scripting. But because everything works very similar, like in the Unity way, it's quite easy and quick to learn. It's just like you would do it in Unity, just with some additional features and some capabilities of Mesh.
This is such a fun experience to decorate a tree collaboratively, and it's really cool that Mesh physics and visual scripting can work together to make this really easy.
Let's grab a cocoa to warm us up. Just follow me.
Cool. Yes, hot cocoa, just what I needed. Thank you. Christian, what is next in this wonderful space?
We built that space to inspire artists, developers, and users to see the possibilities about Microsoft Mesh and what you actually can build with this. And so we plan to host more events like this and publish more video content and learnings and how to build spaces like this.
Do you have any advice for people looking to get started with 3D development, maybe trying to build a space like this themselves?
My recommendation is check out the examples. There are really a lot of great content. There's a super cool example about how physics work. We used a lot of this stuff here to just copy it in that space and tweaked it a little bit. It's really a great start for you with Learn Microsoft Mesh.
Cool. Yeah, we really definitely encourage people to just get in there and get their hands dirty with the toolkit and the resources there. So it's awesome to hear that those were useful for y'all in building this space. And you've created such a wonderful space with fun interactions, and the atmosphere is really effective. So thank you so much for giving me a tour today. This has been really, really fun.
Yeah, thank you for visiting us, and cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Wow, so how was that sleigh ride?
You know, I enjoyed that interview so much, I didn't even want to leave the space. HoloLux was so creative the way that they combined mesh physics and visual scripting, and they created such unique activities for groups. It was so much fun.
HoloLux provided some great tips about how they got started with Mesh. We can learn even more from them as they'll be joining us in the live Q&A. Before we head there, let's take a quick look at how you can get started. If you're just getting started, head to aka.ms Mesh Creator for pointers to all of the most relevant resources, including how-to videos, documentation, blogs, and sample projects. Speaking of, if you're brand new to Mesh, the Mesh 101 sample and tutorial is the absolute best place to start. You can start building right away with the Mesh Toolkit for free. But to upload interactive environments and explore them with others, all participants need a Teams Premium license or a 6-month trial that you can add to an existing M365 plan. To learn more about Microsoft M365 licensing and business plans, visit microsoft.com/mesh.
Thank you again so much for joining us, everyone. It looks like it's time for the Q&A. So we're going to jump into Mesh with our friends from Link to VR and HoloLux, and we'll see you there soon.
See you there.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. So glad you joined us for the Q&A. We're coming at you live from inside an immersive space in Microsoft Teams. So I'm here with Christian Glessner from Hololux and Edward Zemba from Link2VR. We've got a couple questions coming in from all the different channels. So let's just go ahead and jump into the questions.
Great. I'm going to start with a few questions for our guests today. Edward, you've been working on spatial computing solutions for a long time. What can you tell us about the process of working with Mesh on these types of projects?
Sure. So first off, Tyler, I just want to say thank you for having us here. This is an outstanding experience, and thank you for everybody for joining us in this truly immersive space, whether it's 2D or fully three-dimensional. But to answer your question, Tyler, we generally have really enjoyed the experience with Mesh in that Microsoft has certainly upped the game of what is possible in the way of virtual and remote events. So yeah, no, our enterprise customers in particular are very interested in looking at different ways they can leverage this technology.
Amazing, that's great.
Awesome. So I have a question for Christian. In the Winter Wonderland space, you mentioned that you have a passion for helping other people learn about Mesh. So tell me what you've been up to in that space along that path.
Yeah, sure, Rebecca. So yeah, I really love, I'm an MVP now for 14 years, and so it's a lot about community work. And so I founded also the project ilovemesh.com, where I want to teach to people, because the adoption of all the platforms will rise when you have more people developing on that platform, people coming in. And so there's a lot to do because it's a brand new product, and I'm really happy to share my passion with all of you.
I love that. Yeah, thank you.
And Rebecca, we mentioned earlier that there's a few different paths to getting started in developing with Mesh. What should folks consider when choosing a path?
Yeah, so there's a couple options depending on where you are in your developer journey. You can start from a new or existing Unity project that you have, and then you can find all our tools, all our documentation to add to that project and upload it to Mesh at aka.ms/Mesh Creator. Or if you just want to get started as quickly as possible, we recommend you check out the Mesh 101 sample. That will get you going faster than anything else. So yeah, lots of paths to get started, but all of those can be found at our documentation. Awesome. So I have a question now coming from Miguel on the M365 YouTube channel. So this is a question for Tyler. How are people able to join using Quest headsets when the enterprise has conditional access policies that restrict use of consumer devices?
Thanks, Rebecca. It's a really great question, Miguel. We actually have some documentation on this on the Mesh documentation site that talks about conditional access and Quest headsets that details some Quest features that are available that may help organizations in rolling out support for Mesh on Quest devices, including Quest support for MDM and Intune. But I also might ask, Edward, examples that you may have of how you've been able to roll out Quest devices within your company and for your customers.
I think that this is actually a great segue to the question of, how do you get started working with a project in Mesh in the first place, both with the hardware and, of course, just getting more familiar with what Mesh has to offer. And I think part of the secret there is starting sort of one step at a time in a small group. Don't necessarily try to launch a project with 1,000 headsets out of the gate, get a group of maybe 5 or 10 folks together and just get started. Also, the other element I would add is that Mesh, has really done an outstanding job of leveraging the 2D access to this space. So really kind of look at it from both of those sides and then work within the enterprise systems that, of course, typically there are many layers to those systems to get all of the authorizations in place that are necessary to be able to leverage the technology. But really a big part of it, honestly, is just starting one step at a time.
Yeah, that's great. There's lots of different ways to sort of get set up and get up and running with Mesh. Yeah, with that,